On today's show,
cheers or boos? What kind of reaction from the OKC crowd does Kevin Durant deserve?
in Worst of the Week, Knicks.
And we've got a little bit of everything in this week's top 10 plays from the past 7 days.
It's Friday, February 10th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to the starters. That was a little better than yesterday's. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Happy almost birthday, Rick. He's behind the camera there.
Nice, Ricky. To his right, the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis. Lily, and last, certainly not least, over yonder, it is the bearded one. Looking cool in that jacket today. Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! TK, what's up?
Well, this is technically an overshirt, but I'm still here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, the Sixers beat the Magic in Orlando last night, and for the second time this season, TJ McConnell came up huge in the clutch. He hit the game-winning basket on the offensive end with about 5 seconds remaining, and then he snatched the game-sealing steal on the next defensive possession. It's his second game winner of the season, and it led his teammate Joel Embiid to tweet out an image of TJ along with MJ with a caption that says, "Is TJ McConnell the clutchest player in the history of the NBA?" I guess so. I don't know about that, but it does bring us to today's question. What's something you believe about the NBA that's definitely not true? And that brings me back to the good old blogging days of 2011 when this picture of LeBron James came out and everybody was convinced that he had 6 toes. Of course, this was immediately debunked because LeBron just has 5 toes like most of us. But for a few minutes there, maybe even hours, it definitely seemed like LeBron had 6 toes.
I mean, they're not the prettiest of toes.
No, he's got some calluses, but you know, he plays basketball for a
Yeah.
living. I'm sure it's hard on his feet.
Yep.
But we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter. What's something you believe about the NBA that's definitely not true? Send us your best tweets to #TheStarters, and we'll hear from you later.
All right, get those tweets in. Got a fun show tonight. Tass awards the dishonor for Worst of the Week.
Yep.
To the
Who
New York
could it
Knicks.
be?
Yeah, we'll just get it out of the way. It's going to the Knicks. That'll be great. And we got the top 10 plays from the past 7 days. But we start with a little 3-on-3 action here. Trey, you got 3 big questions for us as we head into another NBA weekend. What do you got?
That's right, Skeets. After 8 seasons as Thunder Broingtons and 2 meetings as opponents in Oakland and 75 million questions about their relationship, on Saturday night, Kevin Durant finally returns to Oklahoma City to face Russell Westbrook and the Thunder team he left. Guys, how will OKC fans welcome KD back?
I think the better question is, how will they boo him? Are they just going to go with a straight boo, or are they going to have some chants going? Because the boos are going to be deafening. I know some people are going to stay silent
Right.
because they're so torn, and that's totally understandable. I'm sure all those people that boo him also have an extreme love for him, but undoubtedly, the boos are going to be deafening.
And you think right from introductions and then to the tip and to when he gets that ball on the wing,
Yeah.
all throughout the game.
These fans are hurt.
What about if
Yeah.
he and Russell embrace or have some
Ooh.
sort of handshake? Do you think that's going to happen? Or
You're throwing a wrench in.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it's funny you say that because I think Westbrook yesterday, he told reporters the nicest thing he has said about Durant since KD went to the Warriors, and that was, quote, "Kevin's done a lot for Oklahoma City and our team when he was here." It's
true,
really
though, too.
the nicest sort of thing he
Yeah.
has said, even addressing the situation since he bolted.
And look, I understand fans are going to boo. They're hurt. They feel that they were betrayed by Kevin Durant, but they weren't. He left as a free agent. He played in OKC for 8 years, 9 if you count that year in Seattle, which we won't. He put that team on the map. He took them to the finals
Right.
once, conference finals 3 more times. He was an MVP. How many young kids do you see wearing Oklahoma City Thunder Kevin Durant shirts? If it wasn't for him,
Right.
who knows what state that franchise
And Charles
would be.
Barkley last night said they should give him applause, give him the standing O when he's introduced, and then when the game starts, when
Yeah.
you want the Thunder to win and you want Westbrook to prevail, then you can boo him. You still don't think that happens, though?
Well, I mean, he obviously deserves every single cheer, but no, it's not going to happen.
Right,
I think
right.
overwhelmingly there's going to be a lot of boos because it's a small market mentality. I was there when the Toronto Raptors had Vince Carter come back after he left, and obviously this is a different scenario. Kevin Durant left on his own terms. He did it by the book. That being said, that's not how these hurt fans think.
Right. Yeah,
But
right.
there's a great article on NBA.com by Fran Blindberry sort of illustrating all the torn feelings that are going through every single person's mind in OKC. And to quote one woman, I didn't want him to leave, and now I'm not sure I want him to come back. He's left, he's gone, stay away, but yeah, we love him. You know, it's just such and I think Russell Westbrook is kind of going through the same thing himself. You know, it's such a great relationship that they had, but now he's hurt as well.
2 questions for you guys. One, do you think the reception would be different if KD joined, let's say, the Celtics and not the 73-9 mighty Golden State Warriors?
Not
that
much,
could
not
come-
much to
Nah.
me.
You don't think so?
Nah, no,
okay.
not really.
Okay.
Maybe
what-
1 decibel lower.
Maybe 1
Maybe.
decibel lower. Okay, and also, who do you think needs this win more tonight? Be it Westbrook or Durant, if
Tomorrow
you looked
night,
individually.
Saturday
Yeah,
night?
so excuse
Well,
me, tomorrow night.
Westbrook, I think, needs it. I think, to show, because they've lost the first 2 games
Yeah.
against the Warriors. And if Durant is to come into his building and put up a good performance and win the game, then it really is going to make the fans even angrier then. So if Westbrook can put in one of his performances like he did last night against Cleveland, he was awesome, then I think the fans, that will subdue it a little bit that Durant's back in their building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will see. Should be a great game. Saturday night, obviously on ABC.
And let's say Russell Westbrook is going through his dance routine with Cameron Payne, and there's some fans cheering KD like right in front of him. Maybe he goes and shuts them. Hey, fan, just shut up, okay? Don't cheer for it. I'm kidding. It's going to be a great. And listen,
great.
as you said off the top, he said something nice. I think eventually, at some point, they're going to be bros again. Maybe not tomorrow night.
no,
but at
probably
some
not
point.
tomorrow night, but maybe in the history. Yeah, all right. Next one here, Trey.
All right, according to the Orlando Sentinel, the Magic's Aaron Gordon's dunk contest appearance is in jeopardy due to a bone bruise in his right foot.
No!
Yeah, exactly. Gordon says he'll do the contest if he's able to play in one of the team's 3 games this week, but feet are tricky, so if he needs a sub, who should replace Aaron Gordon in the dunk contest?
Jeremy Grant.
Wow,
Let's
you're
get him in it.
you're sticking
yeah,
with
I'm
that.
sticking it. I said that in our preview show,
Yeah.
and we had it a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about who we wanted to get in there. And I think this guy could be special. He may be an in-game dunker because he's thrown down a couple of pretty nice ones this season. But let's get him in the dunk contest and see, because he's athletic. He's creative. He's got the power as well. That's what I think you need in a dunk contest, like the dunk we saw against the Warriors there. He can really just hammer it down, and I think you need that. So,
I feel like most of his dunks are just hammers.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. He can, jazz it up a little bit for the contest.
This
but
guy wanted
jazz it
Taj
up.
Gibson
Yeah.
in the dunk
Yeah,
contest.
exactly. He's got a
Taj
type.
Gibson can throw down some dunks.
Yeah,
Maybe not
but
so much
not in
anymore.
big
But,
Couple
but it's
of years
different than
ago.
a dunk contest.
Yeah.
You love the hammers.
Yeah, you
Taj,
do.
is,
I
Taj
do.
is a hammer guy,
Yeah.
too.
Look, I hope Aaron Gordon can go in this, and the foot, he maybe gets in one of these games before the All-Star break in place. But if he can't, I think this could be an opportunity. Again, if Gordon had to pull out, that the NBA could turn to the D-League and actually say, let's take the D-League dunk contest winner from the day before, and let's put him in there and see how they do against the NBA guys. Because last year, for example, this little guy, John Jordan from the 905ers, I mean, he put on a bit of a show being a 5'9" guy and
Yeah.
putting down some pretty nice dunks. He's going to be back in it this year. I'm just saying, again, if we needed a last-minute guy, you got those D-League guys there. Why not give the guy that won the D-League contest
I hear you.
a shot on the big stage?
Yeah, Saturday afternoon, we're going to be there
Right.
watching that D-League contest
Yeah.
up close. We're actually going to be judges. Crazy stuff.
Tass and I will be judging.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. Obviously, John Jordan at a 5'10" guy is real special. I'm just not going to admit defeat quite yet. I think Aaron Gordon will be there. Let's just keep hope alive.
You think so?
Yeah,
He wants
yeah.
to go in it.
He
That's
does,
important.
yeah. And he hasn't, declared that he's out at this point. So let's remain positive. Just because we do have a few games left, 3 games as Trey mentioned there.
Yeah.
Because he feels he should have won it last year, so
Yeah,
he
and
wants
yeah.
to go back and get it.
Yeah, and exactly. He is so passionate about going back in. The fact that some look at it like he was robbed. The fact that he wants to go back in is a real positive sign that he
Yeah.
wants to be there. So
Sure.
I'm going to keep hope alive at this
And
point.
obviously the favorite if he does get in there.
No
For
doubt.
Sure. All right, Trey, final one here.
All right, just days after rejoining the Lakers as an executive, Magic Johnson told USA Today Sports that he's, quote, working to call the shots because it only works that way, end quote. He's a Lakers legend and Lee's favorite tweeter, but should Magic get to call the shots for the Lakers?
What do you think?
Well, as long as it doesn't stop him tweeting, yes. for
Yeah,
sure.
right,
No,
right.
The thing is about a situation like this, we've seen in the past that just because you're a great player doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically a great general
Sure.
manager or a coach or whatever that is. Magic is a great communicator, I think, great talker. If he calls a team, they're definitely going to pick up the phone. But it's a whole different situation managing a salary cap and draft picks and trading and doing all those sorts of things. And if he's not experienced doing that, then it's going to be difficult for him to just slide into that role.
He says over the last week or so that he is learning the collective bargaining agreement, the salary cap, other business-related,
Yeah.
items. I think he wants to learn that. I think you could lock this in. Magic Johnson's going to be very soon either sort of the vice president of basketball operations or some sort of general manager with the LA Lakers. If you read the comments from this USA Today article, he didn't just say, he wanted to call the shots. He said, we got to have somebody make that final call. And who's that going to be? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I really think he knows, having talked to Jeannie Buss, that it's eventually going to be him as that VP of basketball ops. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I mean, most teams hire a salary cap and collective bargaining agreement expert because they
Like
are
a
so
specialist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're so convoluted, those things, and you can't just sort of learn it. Oh, I can just read it over the weekend, and all of a sudden you know.
Right,
So,
right.
No, there are a lot of jobs in a front office.
Yeah.
The whole point is that he has to surround himself with good people.
Yeah.
Because he has a lot of skills himself, and he's also shown that he knows how to run plenty of businesses extremely successfully. And obviously, he's had a lot of people that he's brought in. So that is a positive going
Yeah.
forward. You can't just do it on your own. So even if he is calling the shots, it's just a matter of getting the right people around him, which
Yeah.
I believe he could do.
well, will attract them for sure. People
Yeah.
will want
Oh,
to work for the Lakers and
absolutely.
work for Magic
And
Johnson.
play for the Lakers
Yeah.
if Magic is there.
And we saw Larry Bird has had success, obviously, in that sort of role. So we'll see if Magic can do it or eventually gets there. All right, quick break. When we return, Taz talks about the Knicks.
Welcome back. Now's the point of the show where we hand out the dishonor to someone in the NBA family that has done wrong in the eyes of the starters. It's time for the worst of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the worst of the week.
You know what it is. Blue and orange, blue and orange, blue and orange, blue and orange. Worst of the week are the New York Knicks. Yes. 2 events over the past 7 days that were head scratchers, and in typical Knickerbocker fashion, they both happened off the court. Tuesday, an article portraying Carmelo Anthony as a player who just doesn't want it enough was written by Bleacher Report's Kevin Ding. And the president of the team Melo plays on, Phil Jackson, co-signed it by tweeting, "Bleacher's Ding almost rings the bell, but I learned you don't change the spot on a leopard with Michael Graham in my CBA days. Can't change the spots on a leopard or a Knicks executive apparently, because this wasn't the first time in our 16-week season that Phil has taken a jab at Melo on Twitter, although this one was more of a 1-2 combo." And then, the more visually startling event. Wednesday at MSG, during a nationally televised game on ESPN, Knicks legend Charles Oakley found himself surrounded by about 6 security guards and NYPD police officers. After some words, and with owner James Dolan only a few rows away, Oakley poked the forehead of one security guard, shoved another, and it was over. He was grabbed and escorted out of the building, but not before falling in the tunnel. The optics, as usual in Knickland, were terrible. A franchise hero who gave all he had for a decade, helplessly laid out with the franchise suit standing over him. Minutes later, Knicks PR published a release which ended with the troubling and suggestive line, "He was a great Knick and we hope he gets some help soon." In interviews Thursday, Oakley said he was innocent and did nothing to provoke Dolan or MSG security. The Knicks refuted that claim in a press release citing several witnesses. We talked to many people, okay? Charles Oakley was a beloved NBA figure, so it wasn't unexpected to see the outpouring of support from current and former players in the hours afterward. It's a he said, she said situation, but the Knicks understandably don't get the benefit of the doubt. They will not win in the court of public opinion. The New York Knicks, your worst of the week.
No shocker there.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
What a weird story.
The Knicks, though, did say today that there is video evidence that they're going to release soon of Charles
That's right.
being loud and abusive. And if that's true, then,
James Dolan went on radio today, ESPN New York, and said that Oakley came to the Garden that night with an agenda, and he was abusive and vulgar, and you're right that apparently sort of evidence will show that this was the case. What's also weird, though, about this whole thing to me is also today the head guy of security was let go by MSG. He was fired. So why are you firing someone if you're saying it was Oakley's fault, this whole thing?
Yeah.
Is he firing him because Oakley shouldn't even have been allowed into the building, even gotten to that seat? And then it went down? Like, what's going on?
That has apparently also been suggested on Twitter and stuff that Oakley, if he was ever coming to a game, that they were to alert.
That security was supposed to say.
Or they were supposed to certainly
Dolan.
alert James Dolan
Oh, sure.
anyway. So, but again, a lot of that stuff is speculation.
Yeah, it's a lot of speculation. I think what's certain is that this could have been handled better.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, from the moment Oakley walks in, I know Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley. I thought they conveyed their opinion pretty well yesterday when they just said, if one guy comes up to him, one security guard says, "Hey, let's go talk in the back.
Yeah.
No, let's go deal with this in the back. Or James Dolan, why don't you deal with this? Why don't we talk about it?
Not send
instead of-
6, 7, 8
Yeah,
guys to sort of poke the bear there, and he definitely poked back.
Yes,
right?
he
That's what-
literally poked
Literal
him.
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
McEnroe must have thought they were coming for him.
Yeah, it's true. Frank Isola had a good tweet about this, though. Like, if the Knicks are trying to go all in, which it feels like they're doing, to make people hate Charles Oakley and turn on Charles Oakley, that's
working.
not going to happen.
No.
Good luck with that.
No.
It's just not going to happen. It really
Yeah.
isn't. But yeah, you can start printing the banner now. The Knicks, I think, have locked up here before the All-Star weekend break.
Yeah,
worst
Their
of the
fourth
year.
worst of the week already.
Crazy, crazy. All right, quick break. When we return, couple game winners feature in the Starters' top 10 plays of the week. This is a good one. Don't go anywhere. Back with the Starters, we asked you, what's something you believe about the NBA that's definitely not true? You hit us up on Twitter, hashtag the Starters. TK, got a few answers.
Yeah, we've got an all starters edition of answers. This one comes from Max, who says, I truly believe that Lee would be a great spot up shooter in the league. That's actually true. Justin says he believes that J.E. Skeets is his real name. Maybe that's true. Never heard it.
You can call me Phil, Joel.
Finally, Disco Stu says he believes that the starters are going to play in the celebrity game at All-Star Weekend. You're right. That's never going to happen, but keep believing.
Boo. Boo. All right,
Maybe.
keep those tweets coming. Guys,
Maybe not.
Friday staple here on the Starters. Time for us to count down the top 10 plays from the past 7 days. At number 10, we got 2 putback dunks. Start with Larry Nance Jr.
Oh, yeah. That's a layup for him.
in Madison Square Garden. Getting up.
Nice.
You ever been to the Garden?
I have.
It's amazing.
It is.
Gerald Green does him one better in the putback
yeah.
department. Yeah, just skying.
Is he ever going to lose his hops? I don't think
Duncan
so.
when he's 80.
Yeah.
Get him back in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
At number 9, Spaniard Alex Sabrinas making his name known. National TV Thursday night.
Hello.
Cocks it to the left so Tristan can't get the block.
It's a little Gordon Hayward-ish like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
some would say Manu Ginobili, but I
Some
like
would
the
say
Gordon
Manu
Hayward
Ginobili,
call.
yeah.
Some would say Rudy Fernandez.
At number 8, Reggie Jackson drops TJ McConnell.
Oh.
And then he hits the 3. He gets him leaning like the Matrix there. Whoa, see ya.
That's a good stumble.
Oh, he tried to pretend it
Yeah,
didn't happen.
it was
But
good hustle, but
Yeah.
Love
Reggie
that
knocks it
bird's
down.
eye view camera. Gorgeous. At number 7, Andre Robertson. Monstrous dunk on Miles Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Miles coming from the other side. Hey, I'm blocking this.
all right.
Oh,
No, you're not.
oh. It's huge.
Some good dunks,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
A secret good dunker. At number 6, 2 game winners for you. We start. Blazers down 1. CJ McCollum fumbling and stumbling, but gets the runner
Man.
to drop. Look at this. This is a crazy shot.
What a shot.
And that would do it for the Blazers. But Devin Booker maybe one-ups him here with the
Oh, yeah.
The ball fake is sweet.
amazing ball fake and then banks it home.
Devin Booker stuck there or what?
And yeah, it looked like a glitch there in
Yeah.
NBA 2K17, but Suns win, Suns win.
At number 5, squeeze another couple plays in here. Couple beauty passes. LeBron, whoa!
my
Skip
God,
pass,
he's
left-handed, in the lane, finds Kevin Love.
Oh, wow.
He fooled everyone with this.
On his wrong side of his body, over his own shoulder. Incredible.
And Dennis Schroeder through his own legs.
That was through his legs?
Yeah, to Paul Millsap. He times it beautifully.
Oh,
Keep it
yeah.
up in the air. Boom.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
angle.
Hey,
Yeah.
pumping his fist before Millsap even has the ball.
Shout out to cameraman Larry for that one. What an angle. At number 4, Rudy Gobert giving us a little defense.
Oh.
Denied. It goes all the way to half court.
Yeah,
Get it out.
that flew like a pelican.
Rejection. Oh, that's nice. Like a pelican. Stifle tower. I don't know.
Yep. At number 3, I guess the pelican was on the
Yeah,
tower.
that's what I was going for, yeah.
Draymond Green, bang! A huge jam on Anthony Tolliver.
That was a great game. Warriors Kings.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man. Keep thinking Tolliver's
off the
going to block
shoulders.
him there.
Yeah, Joe Lacob likes it.
Another great game from this past week. Cavs Wizards. Cavs down 3. Trying to force overtime. LeBron's got you.
Get out of here. I still don't believe that went in.
Yeah, that's
Can't
not. What a
believe it.
pass from
I
Kevin
know.
Love. What a catch. And then better than both of them. What a shot.
John Wall said 1 in a million. LeBron said, not for me. I don't think so. So if that's number 2, what's number 1?
Better be good.
Good question.
Well, Willie Cauley-Stein doing a little DeAndre Jordan impression.
Yeah. Oh, it's a trunk.
Yeah.
Splits the legs nicely too.
Oh, man. He just hangs there, doesn't he? Yeah.
Looks like he's being held up.
Looks good. The hair flowing like DeAndre Jordan makes it look especially good, too.
There it is. Agree, disagree. Let us know on Twitter. Hashtag the starters. We got them in the right order. What are we missing? Just yell at us. All caps locks. Hashtag the starters.
Well, we've got some good news. Thursday on NBA on TNT.
Yeah.
A record. 3 wedgies, 1 game.
They said it wasn't possible. They said it wasn't possible.
On national TV. Cavs, Thunder. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's number 1.
Okay.
Wow.
Here's number 2, an old block wedgie.
Sure, that one's really
Just.
in there.
And then a minute left in the game or so.
Gentle.
Number 3, giving us 32 wedgies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
We
good.
wanted 31 by the All-Star.
Yeah,
We're
we-
coming for you, Fitty.
We wanted a Reggie, we got a Magic Johnson.
Oh,
right.
man.
And we're projected for 53 now with that boost. of 3.
You get 3 in one game, you gotta get 50 on the season.
You have to.
I mean, you got to. You got
It's
it.
a must.
We'll include Summer League if we have to.
Yeah.
We'll do anything for 50.
We'll go out to the cage and stick some in there if we have to.
It took me a while to learn this shot, you know what I mean? I usually do it off my left and, usually I got a smaller guy on me, I want to fade away and, but also make sure I shoot a shot on balance, So I rear back a little bit. That's the one, bang. I'm not a Melo where I can just bulldoze my way to the rim or LeBron. I just try to use my sleekness, my just being smooth and, having a lot of touch on my jump shot. I feel like that's a layup for me. Turnaround baseline is my shot.
Catch KD with 3D on 3D TV tomorrow here on NBA TV at noon Eastern. Looks great. What a good watch. All right, let's get to tonight's picks. Woo!
All right.
Hawks at the Kings. This one's on League Pass. We're torn. Trey and I, the 2 Hawks bros tonight.
That's right, man.
Taking the Hawks and Lily and Tass taking the Kings. Good luck to everyone there. All right. Had a blast with the Drop podcast. I'll get to that in a second. Almost forgot about the very solid play. Sorry,
How
Lily.
could you forget that? It's from the Chief all the way down. Beautiful feed down to Damian Lillard. Not Alan Crabb on this play, but still beautiful. Here it goes. Look at that. I love that angle. Great pass, great finish. That's what I call a very solid play.
As I was saying.
Sorry to interrupt.
We had a blast recording the Drop today. We talked Oakley, Jabari Parker's injury, and a whole lot more fun. So go check that out. It's up on iTunes and Google Play. Oh boy, next week. We'll be here in studio Monday through Wednesday, but then we're off to New Orleans
Nice.
for All-Star Weekend. 2 hour-long specials. One on Friday, one on Sunday, but we'll see you on Monday.
Can't wait. Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, some people like Lee will do anything to get their hands on a ball. Go get it. Go get it.
Brace the weekend, people.